opening attempt.
Yeah, I saw a little give in the shoulders overhead. I was waiting to see what the judges were going to say about that, but 3 white lights there, and she's good to go. You guys might be seeing superstar Harrison Morris there in the background, assisting, doing a little bit of coaching here.
Such a good guy. Love just chatting with him. And it's so good to see young lifters getting involved in coaching and understanding the process, you know?
Yep.
Contributing. There
Nice.
you go. Good adjustment. And until otherwise told, Emi Ishikawa, good lift, second
Right.
attempt. Very nicely done.
Yeah, going back to the lifters, especially our very active lifters doing a little bit of coaching, I think that's so great in one aspect because I think I took my technique to a new level, the highest level ever after coaching for a couple years. So I think it'll pay off for them as athletes as well.
Oh yeah, of course. I only figured out weightlifting after I was done, you know, and then started coaching. I'm like, oh.
Back to Carly here for her third and final attempt with 47 kilos.
Oh. So that lots of power kind of just crash into the bottom of that snatch and just doesn't have the stability
Yeah.
overhead to support that yet.
Usually when someone crashes to the bottom like you're talking about, that kind of indicates that their focus was off because that's different than what she did before. She didn't just, rush to the bottom as much on the previous 2 attempts, so that indicates a little bit of, maybe lacking confidence on that third attempt. Could have been a PR attempt, but just got ahead of herself a little bit. And really, if she would have just executed the same way that she had on the previous 2, she was capable of making that lift.
Yeah, she cut that extension a little bit short and tried to beat the bar down to the bottom, which, that's the trick, getting that nice extension and beating the bar down to the bottom. You have to do both.
We have an opening attempt here from Tiffany.
That's pretty easy power snatch.
Yeah, looks strong.
48 kilos. Nicely done. Let's see if 48 kilos is going to stay on the bar. I believe so. And this is going to bring up that, let's see, a couple lifters attempting 48 kilos, 49 kilos. Of course, we expect adjustments to be made. But they are calling out Denise Ying for her second attempt. Yeah, I want to see those tattoos too, Chad. Now I'm all distracted by trying to figure out. Can barely read her name on the scoreboard, but I'm like getting closer just to see her tattoos.
All right. Looks to be good. Okay, she did get 1 red light, but 2 white lights is enough to call it a good lift. And yeah, just as she's lifting there again, I believe she's the one you were talking about, reminded you of Tara Knott, and I would absolutely say so in, the way the pull looks and the way that receiving position looks as well. So that body type, but certainly a body type that can lift a lot of weight because Tara Knott could lift a lot of weight. We have Brenda here for her second attempt. Is that Brenda? Yep, and that was our no contact lifter. And a lot of these athletes, and I don't know her story or how long she's been lifting, but a lot of these athletes, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Cheryl, haven't been lifting for a long time. This very well could be some of their second competitions ever.
Right.
They may have done a local competition to qualify,
right, to qualify.
and then to come in. And I'll come back to a point I'm trying to make here in just a minute. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to Peggy here for her second attempt. And I like these 2 kilo jumps that most of them are making, not getting too greedy and trying to stay consistent.
little instability overhead. It was a little forward, then she adjusted and just ended up pushing it a little too far back. And it does. It takes a lot of repetition before you get under the bar in a snatch dynamically, and you just it's almost as if you don't have to do anything when it lands in that
Yeah,
slot.
and
You know.
and some athletes you'll notice that they just naturally know to set in the bottom and they have that feel and that awareness. But for others, it takes them maybe many years to understand that concept. Because I think if she would have just sat there for a little bit longer, she might have been able to pull it out.
Yeah, I agree. Right, Sabrina Delgadillo. Final attempt, 49.
So fast.
So fast. And again, this is body weight. Like, I never snatch body weight. I did it once, and my elbow exploded.
I love that you're always so impressed by that. It's
I am. I am.
and it is.
It's
It
like,
absolutely
man.
is impressive, especially a snatch.
Yeah.
You know, snatching body weight is a big deal, and then you start to and to be fair too, with these lighter weight classes, we do have an advantage to be able to do that a little bit more, not
I wouldn't
necessarily
be able to do
easily.
anything, Chad, if I weighed 49
But
kilos.
some of these athletes that are the top in the world are doing double body weight in the snatch, and so
It's pretty
um,
incredible. All right, Peggy Chung, this is her third and final attempt. Hopefully she can make that adjustment, be a little more patient. Oh,
yeah, she definitely made a change from the floor that she moved slower, noticeably moved slower from the floor, and that could have been something either herself and or her coach wanted her to do to try not to get ahead of herself and
right.
to slow her down a little bit. And I don't think that was a bad adjustment to make,
That was
but
an okay attempt. I like that
yeah.
attempt better than the last one, for sure. All right, we're switching the plates out here. Go ahead back to your point about the no hip contact
Yes.
in the beginner.
Yeah, the no hip contact, and really where I was heading with that is as I'm teaching, I'll always make a point and say, hey, 99% of the best in the world are doing this, and so that you probably should do this in your movement as well. And one of the things that I've been able to say is 100% up to this point is I've never seen an international level lifter not contact their body on a snatch or a clean, and I even go as far as to saying I've never even seen one on the national level not contact their body. But now, as I predicted, we have seen one on the national level. This is a national level competition, and it's because again, you know, these newer lifters that are coming in, they're still learning the movement, learning the technique, and my hope is that they just recognize that and that it's something that they're working on that needs to be accomplished within their lift.
Right, and depending on who you talk to, um, there are international weightlifting superstars who coach and don't initially teach hip
Right.
contact in order to prioritize being
Hmm.
able to control the bar path and keep it
Yeah.
close. Because when you do enter into situations where you're trying to introduce that to a beginner and they simply can't control it.
Right. Nice. Solid opening attempt at 50 kilos there for
Great
Yvette.
snatch. Like that.
Yeah, and I like what you talk about there, kind of the different priorities that different coaches have. And really, it's not that we're teaching different, it's not that we shouldn't be really conflicting with that. It's just about we're trying to get to the same place. We're just going to get there maybe with a little bit of a different order.
And people
So,
are so different too.
yeah.
Some people walk in the gym day one and they naturally are engaging their hip. And some people, it takes quite a while to get them comfortable and get the timing correct for them to embrace that.
All right, second attempt here for Tiffany. 50 kilos, that's 110 pounds.
Not quite hitting that extension. I think she just needs to get into the hip and stand up tall and then pull. It looks like she was kind of trying to pull herself under the bar before she had really done much with it as
Yep.
far as getting it vertical.
Yeah, I feel like she had, going back to contact again, just because that's what we are seeing. I feel like she contacted on the first one, but I'm not so sure she did on that one, or at least maybe she contacted in a slightly different position. So not only contacting, but contacting in a consistent spot is very important as well.
Right. And it takes, relaxing the arm is so important too, with proper engagement with the hip.
All
All
right,
right.
back to Desiree here for her third and final attempt with 50 kilos.
Just drifted away from her a little bit in that second pull, I think.
Yeah, once again, I think that's the scenario that we saw play out earlier where the athlete looked so good on, attempt 1 and 2, and I think just got ahead of herself a little bit there. Definitely didn't open up as much as she did on the other two. Tried to get under the bar too soon, basically what it was.
And it's so hard to do when you're really amped up, you're jacked up, and you just really want to go out there and crush this lift. Um, it's really easy to, because it happens so quickly, I mean, before you even realize you made a mistake, the whole thing's over.
Back to Brenda here one last time.
Oh, not quite. Not
Yeah,
quite. She
even
bent
if
those
she,
arms.
yeah, even if she would have been able to stabilize that and stand up, I think she would have been called on a press out
It's a good
on that
try,
lift
though.
there. Yeah, absolutely. Went
Good
after it
try.
and goes 2 for 3 on the day, so can't be too upset about that. And
Right.
she is one of our master lifters. She's in the women's 40 to 44 age group. So I think in this session, probably the older lifter in this session. Certainly not old, I would say, now that
No, of
I'm
course
almost 40
not.
myself. But
All right, Tiffany Goots Connect missed her last attempt at 50 kilos. She's going to make that adjustment. She just needs to relax a little more. She needs to think snatch, deadlift, then pull, and prioritize. That was actually much better. Um, she didn't quite do what she needed to do to get under the bar properly and receive that bar. But that first pull was much, much better. I think she got off balance and got tugged a
yeah,
little forward as well. But um, yeah, but obviously somebody just feeling it out and was able to make a positive correction from rep to rep. If she had a third attempt or a fourth
fourth
attempt,
attempt, yeah.
I imagine she could probably make that lift. But that was a nice try. Loaders
Oh
have
man,
loaded 51 on the bar now.
there's been so many competitions where I wished that I had a fourth attempt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I never wanted a fourth attempt.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Three was plenty.
I forgot who I was talking to there for a second. Actually, one was plenty for
You
you
know
most
what?
of the time.
One or two? I think you could talk me into that. I think I would be okay with that.
Do one snatch and then do one
Yeah,
or two clean and jerk depending on what you needed.
that's right.
All right, back to Emmy, 51 kilos, third attempt.
I think she just got her shoulders a little behind the bar.
Yeah. She's overall moving really well, though. She
Yeah.
definitely, someone you can see, definitely has a lot of potentials. She's locked in, very solid from the floor.
Yeah, she does.
Um,
Moving really, really well.
yeah,
And that's just and that's an easy thing to have happen, you
yeah.
know. You really leaning into it. Sometimes those shoulders can get behind the bar and um, and then it causes what we just saw. But you're right, like hitting good positions. Right, Desiree Ying. Third and final attempt. She's made both of her first and her second attempts.
Staying consistent with that 3 kilo jump. And 3 kilos for this body weight's really a pretty big jump, to be honest with you. So she's been handling it well so far.
Ooh, hold. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's going to be good.
And you can see the thing I like about uh, her lifting that I just saw again and reminded me is how smooth and how close she's keeping that bar. She has her wrists curled in, her arms relaxed, and her elbows are straight, but she's got that wrist curled in a little bit, and that keeps the bar closer.
Absolutely. That's a big teaching point for a lot of coaches. I hear a lot of coaches, even as one of the first things that they teach in setup is to curl that wrist back. And,
Yeah.
a
Knuckles
literal
down.
curl may be, an excessive literal curl may be a little too much, but it's more about that pressure. You definitely don't want it to be, um, extended in the other direction.
Right. I like to tell my lifters just more or less knuckles down.
Mm-hmm.
falls down.
Amy Lynn, is that
Amy Lynn
yeah,
Frankel, yep.
53 kilos. Mm.
Just floats a little bit. I think she popped the hip, everything looked good, and she kind of just hung out there for a second before she made her descent, so maybe just tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of hung there for a second, and but then lost connection with the pull under. I believe she hung there for a second up top, and then she shot to the bottom without really pulling under. So keeping that upward pressure on the bar as you pull under that bar is very important.
You got to stay one step ahead of the bar. You can never wait for the bar to do anything. All right, Yvette Henry, 53 kilo attempt. And we still have one lifter who hasn't come out yet, but these are the last three ladies. She stayed over the bar much better that time.
Nice, great correction.
She did. She did exactly what she was supposed to do to fix that. Very nicely done. So it's kind of weird. Chad and I are sitting in front of the blue platform, like kind of in front of these guys. And it's all I can do not to like look straight in their faces when they're snatching.
Right.
Awkwardly. Yeah. Not snatching awkwardly, but like awkwardly looking at their faces.
Hey, it might motivate him. You never know. Give him a focal point.
That's right.
All right, here we go. She's going to try this again. 53 kilos, second attempt.
That was better.
Yep.
That was better.
You could see her really pull on that bar, actively pull on that bar that time.
Right. She does look a little uncomfortable hanging out in the bottom
Yeah.
position. But other than that, I mean, she stayed connected to that bar, and you should be after, Chad and I talking about this. If you watch or listen to our commentary a lot, you'll be able to start noticing these things as well. And Chad and I have seen so much weightlifting that it's just it's automatic. Sometimes I don't even have to think about it, but that's a skill that you can practice. Just watching these competitions, sitting and
Yep.
observing, and watching athletes who are better than you at something. I mean,
Yeah.
that was always when I sat around in the gym. I was never just sitting there. I was always observing. Oscar Chaplin, Kara. Kara was my training partner. Kara had Slaughter, so always making observations and thinking about how to move.
Yeah, if you're a fan of lifting, if you want to coach weightlifting, and if you want to be the best athlete that you can be, watching a lot of weightlifting, I think is pretty important. It's an important thing to do. And if you don't have those types of training partners, because it's fair to say, Cheryl, that probably not everyone's going to have Oscar Chaplin and Kara Heads readily available as training partners, but you can certainly, especially what is available now that really wasn't back then is Instagram and more YouTube videos and being able to watch these competitions on live stream. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to watch what the best in the world or what athletes that move really well are doing and learn that, and also learn what the ones that that are kind of hanging back a little bit. What are the common faults that are causing them not to reach their potential?
Right, Darlene Fierro, the fantastic lifting suit of her own.
It's incredible. It's very superhero-like, right?
It is. It is, and she nails that first snatch. Looks a little tentative, like I feel like her second attempt is probably going to be even better than that. She was very happy to make that first attempt. She hugged her coach and everything. So
Yeah,
that made me happy. I'm happy
I'm
that
glad
she's
that
happy.
someone's happy, but it always makes me worry when they're that happy after their opening attempt, because it can be indicating that they put too much importance on it. Now, it is very critical and important, but I want to kind of hold that back a little bit.
Oh goodness, just not able to stabilize that. Again, this is what
55 kilos.
55
Yep.
kilos. Every kilo above body. I mean, her center of gravity goes from the floor to over her head really quickly, and that's just hard to balance.
Yeah, still some really good lifting from her though. She makes 2 out of her 3 snatches, and she's going to be
Really,
able to
really
take
good.
that 53 kilo snatch into the clean and jerks coming up here in just a little while.
Amy Lynn Frankel is going to come out for 56 kilos for third and final snatch. Yeah, getting back to being really excited about nailing that opening attempt. Like, I remember competitions breaking American records or PRing and then having to, like, ignore that to make another lift.
That's tough to do. Nice.
Good job.
Yep. Yeah, I would, as she continues and lifts, I hope to see her, um, you know, open up that bottom position just a little bit more. It's good. It's not that it's terrible. It's good, but it can be a little bit better. And for someone like her that's moving that well otherwise and that looks that strong, it's just going to add kilos to her lifts.
Yeah, and you can see sometimes people who are actively trying to stay out of the bottom. Do you know what I mean? It appears at this point in her training anyway that she's not that little bit of like shutting off the leg and really hitting that bottom position um, and finding that in range. Some people just will put the brakes on, and that's what it looks like. She's putting the
Yeah, and
brakes
she's
on a little bit.
very on the line of it being a power snatch. So just shows how powerful and strong she is. All right, back to Darlene here for her second attempt with 57 kilos. All right.
Missed that one as well. Good job.
All right, so evidently that
Super
excitement is
stoked.
what she needs, and on the other side of that, certain athletes can thrive on that type of thing. Being successful and being excited and taking that energy in and using it. So that's good for her. The one time that I halfway celebrated was after I broke the American record in the clean and
And you
jerk.
know what's really funny is everybody 100% believes you right now. Would you
Oh yeah,
crack a smile, Chad?
I don't even think I smiled. I just kind of gave just a tiny little fist fist shake, and my wife Jody is still so mad at me for that. She's never even, really congratulated me for breaking that record because she's so upset that I had celebrated and then I missed the next attempt.
Just that fist shake, Chad. You
Yeah,
lost.
I know. Put too much energy into
You
that little
did.
fist shake. All right, we're going to have our final snatch attempt coming up
Yeah,
from
she's just
Darlene
trying
here
to get
very shortly.
a little extra rest, maybe.
And
Just adding a kilo.
not quite sure yet if we're going to be taking a 5-minute or a 10-minute break, so we're going to try to get that information for you before we cut off here if we can.
We'll also try to get a hold of the list, even though I think we kind of made it through everybody's name. We'll at least get closer to this board just to confirm that we're calling these folks their actual names, which seems reasonable, or get a sheet
Yeah,
of paper.
it's only fair.
It's only fair. It's only fair. I got called all kinds of stuff, though, in international competition. I'm sure you did too, Chad. Like in Latin America and stuff like that, where the H's and the TH's aren't really a thing.
Right.
Chad Howard.
Boggin is what I got
Vaughan.
all the time.
Vaughan.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Chad.
start calling you
Chad
Chad
Vaughan.
Vaughan. Vaughan. It's my favorite thing ever. All right, I think we got it loaded on the bar, what she wants. Darlene Fierro.
All right, jumping up to that even 60 kilos there. 132 pounds. Certainly capable of this 60 kilos, I believe.
Oh, of course.
And I'm mostly hoping that she makes it just because I want to see her celebration again.
I do. I want to see how happy she gets after going 3 for 3 and making this last snatch.
I mean, I was immediately a fan with
We're
the singlet that she's
pre-hugging
wearing.
as well.
There might be something to that. I mean, there's something to be
Energy.
said for physical touch and
Right.
affection. So maybe she's pulling some power from there
She
too.
needed to feel like she was in a safe place.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, 2 solid snatches so far. It's more of the same.
Absolutely.
Oh, just loops a little behind
Just
her.
not quite able to hang on to it. You know, I really feel that that one was a little bit different from the floor, a little rushed. I even feel like her arms were bent a little bit from the floor, and I don't think I remember seeing that before, but she certainly went after it and certainly strong enough to make it. Just a few little corrections there, and she could have got the job done. We are going to take a break here, guys, and I'm kind of trying to stumble here for just a second to see if we can see how much time is on the clock so we can tell you when to be back.
Right, in about 40 seconds, this clock's going to wind down, and they're going to reset it for us. So maybe we can talk about stuff for 40 seconds, Chad? What
Well,
do you
we
think?
are. Where are we at
Oh,
again?
look at that.
We're
We're already at 30
yeah,
seconds. We already
we're
wasted
in
10
Las
seconds.
Vegas here at the American Open Series 3.
I am really good at wasting time, though. I've been
There
told that.
is 5 platforms here, and let me just remind you guys, and if you weren't listening before, we have 1,653 registered athletes here, which is makes it the biggest weightlifting competition in history in the world. And no, maybe it can be a Guinness World Record or something. I don't know.
You know what? Why not? I like world records. I want to be part of that.
You need to start competing in the Masters division, but
No.
there are new weight classes too, so it's wide open right now in the Masters division.
Yeah, because that would matter. That would matter for me. Oh, what weight class do I enter in? I guess I'll be a super heavyweight.
That is true. Yeah, that
That's true, though. The records have kind of been wiped clean, more or less. Now, the super heavyweight records, sometimes they stay around,
yeah.
obviously, which makes me pretty happy.
Yeah, it seems like our the super heavyweight female in America that's had the American records for a while. Those are still there, right, Cheryl?
They are still there. They are
So I'm
still
not sure
there.
what's going on. We don't have any other lifters coming up, right? But they have not started a. Um,
Yeah, it looks like they're doing something. The technical official is giving some instructions, maybe on how these collars, etc. I'm obviously just speculating, but why don't we do this, Chad? Let's go ahead
yep.
and we'll go ahead and part ways, but we'll
Yep.
be back in 5 or 10 minutes,
There you
whichever
go.
happens first. And we'll talk weightlifting again. We'll see these ladies, 49 kilo Group B, come back for clean and jerks in just a couple minutes. Hello and welcome to the 2018 USA Weightlifting American Open Series 3, powered by Rogue Fitness with live color commentary so colorful. With Chad Vaughn, I'm Cheryl Hayworth and provided by barbin.com. We're coming to you live from the Westgate Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, and on behalf of barbin.com, the official media partner of USA Weightlifting, we're excited to bring you all the action from this session. And we're picking right back up with the 49 kilo B session. Ladies, we're going to do some clean and jerks. Already got the bar locked and loaded at 55 kilos. And it looks like, based on what we got here, Daniela Herrera is the first lifter, and here she comes.
Yeah, absolutely, Cheryl. There's a lot of good snatching going on there, and as you can see on the board, there's a little bit more green than red, and that's always good. A lot of times you'll see just a sea of red, and that's not what we want to see. So hopefully they can take that consistency into the clean and jerks here. But I'm enjoying watching these ladies lifts. They're, for the most part, moving really well. You and I both, of course, are very, very picky about technique. We like to see those beautiful positions, that beautiful movement.
Well, because we know that we were able to lift a
Yep.
tremendous amount more than maybe we otherwise would
Right.
because of the way.
Absolutely, and so that's what we want to see. It's very important, and we're going to start off here with uh, Daniela,
Mm-hmm.
55 kilos,
Solid clean.
121 pounds.
Nice jerk. I like that jerk. And that's it. I don't know if it is psychological, Chad, but you're right. Setting a good rhythm, getting out here, watching lifters make lifts. Because, I tell you what, I've sat here and watched competitions and been a part of competitions where you get into this mire of just misses and misses and misses. And, that's somewhat psychological. If you know you're getting ready to snatch 10 more kilos than 100 people just came out and tried to do and
Right.
couldn't, it takes a lot of confidence to kind of ignore all that. So it
Yeah.
can be so it is good to see a lot of people coming out here and just making lifts.
Absolutely, and
It's
I
better
think we
for
should
everybody.
talk a little more about that here in a second because I have a few more things to say. But we're going to start. Man, we didn't
Our
get that
favorite
paper, did
lifting
we?
suit.
Yeah. Again, I'm having a hard time seeing the names there, but
Oh, that's
our
okay. This is Lisbeth Fuentes. 55 kilos on the bar as well. And another pretty good jerk.
yeah, good-looking jerk, and she was consistent on those snatches, 3 for 3, and she comes out and opens there. But yeah, like we were talking about, I wish somebody would do maybe some sort of a study on that or something like that because it's definitely interesting.
Somebody way smarter than you and
Yeah,
I. Yeah,
exactly.
that's basically what we're saying
There's
right
got to
now.
be some sort of psychology to go along with it, or just the general energy on the platform or in the room or in the warm-up room where there's a session where the whole session is struggling and there's more misses than there are makes. And I think for an athlete and a coach to be aware of those situation and those specific environments is a good thing, because if you know that there is a certain energy going around, um, you need to prepare for that, and you need to be ready to overcome that. And man, if you can be in those situations and still lift really well, you're, I would say, ahead of most people.
Yeah, you really do have to be in your own bubble, though. I never spent too much time, if any at all, considering what my competitors were doing. Um, but you're right, and again, like, I was a pretty good competitor because I just did it a lot. And so I got used to that. I got used to being able to, when there was chaos on the platform, you kind of want to peek around the curtain to see what's going on, but you gotta go to your special place in your brain, and you gotta keep thinking about what you're doing.
Yep. One of those elite characteristics that we talk about a lot, the ability to just do well no matter what. All right, another opening attempt here. 58 kilos from Peggy.
Not bad. I'd like to see those feet move a little bit more on the clean. Um, that was pretty solid. Pretty solid opening attempt.
Yeah, I think that's consistent to how she was moving in the snatch. If I remember correctly, wasn't moving those feet a whole lot. But
Yeah,
that's our Tara Knott body type lifter, right?
that's right. Longer legs, longer arms. Makes it work. And let's see, the clock is running for Lisbeth Fuentes to come back out for 58 kilos.
Yeah, this is going to be her second attempt, and kind of starting to worry that's okay. Now maybe here
Okay.
she's
Oh,
coming.
here we go. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
start getting a little nervous. That
Yep.
clock starts to get around 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We don't have a lifter yet.
Yeah. Oh, maybe they didn't know they were up, but I'm glad to see that she is aware of it. Clock is beating down on her, but
Still plenty
definitely.
of time.
I don't. I was gonna say it's my favorite singlet of this session, but I'm not sure that it is. We have the superhero one coming up here in a little while.
That's pretty good too. Clean. Now she really, even though that jerk was a little bit forward, maybe a little rushed, I want everybody to pay attention on her next clean and jerk and how big that chest is and how she maintains across her collarbones that foundation. That barbell doesn't move at all when she dips, and that's critical to a good jerk.
Especially for her being a smaller lifter, she does a great job of creating a big shelf there to support the weight and then to throw it against. But man, she's just moving well overall, staying consistent in her movement between her cleans and her snatches and that great bottom position that she has. You guys saw her bounce a couple times. You can do that type of thing when you have a good bottom position like that and use it to your advantage.
All right, Tiffany, good connect. First attempt, 59 kilos. Little light touch the hip there, so she is making contact at the clean.
Not a little worried
Little
about that.
slow on
Those
those.
arms there,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and it's not that, and this is one of those weird press outs, Chad, where it's just a matter of timing.
Right.
Her elbows got there, they were just slow.
Yeah, and they never stopped, and she didn't lock out and then lose the lockout and then lock out again. It was a slow lockout, and when you reach that, basically when those feet hit the platform, it needs to be perceived as those arms, those elbows are locked out at the exact same time, even though that literally may not be the case.
Yeah.
It's got to be that fast and that aggressive.
You know what bugs me, Chad? And stop me if it doesn't bug you, and be like, Cheryl, and maybe you can get me on this train of the back foot hits first in the jerk, which is true. But why would you try to incorporate that into any technical training at all when it literally happens so fast you almost can't even consciously do it in that way? And if you do, it's too deliberate.
I love it, and we'll come back to that here in just a second. Emmy now, and again with another good bottom position.
Very nice, clean.
Ah, an
Little
easy,
power jerk. Well, it's
very
kind of a
easy
push jerk.
push jerk, pretty much. I mean, I feel like she could push press that if she wanted to. That power jerks always excite me, or push jerks, just because they're different. Most people do a split jerk, so it's always kind of a crowd pleaser or a pleaser in my mind to see that as well, and especially for it to be done that easily. But yeah, to me, I agree with you, Cheryl. That's one of those things that, for most people at least, and I say most people because just in case there's those one or two people out there that need to be taught differently. I think for most people, you don't need to teach that. It should just kind of happen on its own if everything else is executed the way that it needs to be.
Exactly.
All right, Brenda here with her opening attempt at 59 kilos.
Oh, that right elbow. And I think Brenda has so much strength, but you can tell that she's simply, because she's got great coaches over there, right?
Yeah.
So she simply is one of those people where if you know anything about the situation, you know her coach, etc., that she literally just needs more
Yeah.
repetition.
Yeah,
And time.
it's a
That's it.
great point. It's a great point, Cheryl, because we know who her coaches are, and we know the great technique and movement that most all of their athletes have. These things that we're talking about are absolutely in the works. Like you said, she just needs more repetitions, but she definitely, has a number of things going on there that just, a few little slight adjustments, and those slight adjustments, they just have to be maintained on her part too. They have to be consistent, and she has to do them on her own for a lot of reps for their so that they're ingrained. But one of the things you'll notice, and hopefully she does it differently on this next attempt, but I feel like those feet were really, really narrow on the setup of that jerk, and that may be one of those things that she's working on, that she's just inconsistent finding that foot position. But I think it definitely locked up her jerk quite a bit.
Right. Right, and again, like it's really easy for us to sit here and be very, very critical. We don't know the starting places unless we're familiar with an athlete. We don't know where these folks have started.
Yep.
Maybe we're like, oh, they got to work on their bottom position, but maybe 3 months ago they didn't have a bottom position.
Right. Right.
So yeah, these are taken with a grain of salt. We understand that these are all, and we're always refining our technique. We're never getting to a point where, if I come out here and lift and I do 3 snatches and 3 clean and jerks, I would expect you to have some stuff to say about it because you're
Yep.
familiar with the way I lift and you know that it could be better.
Absolutely. And to that point, just to add to that, you talk about, we talk a lot about bottom position and people that need to work on it. Well, my bottom position is pretty good, and I'm still working on my bottom position every single day that I work out. So all these things that we're talking about should be continually worked on forever anyway.
All the time. All right. Here we go for Denise Ying. This is her first attempt at 60 kilos.
84 kilos. Stanton Troop.
I like that wider grip. And my philosophy is the same in the clean. If you have the external
Right.
rotation in the shoulder,
Yep.
to be able to get a wider grip and maintain that grip and then go into that jerk with a wider grip, it's just all the better. Again, if you have the shoulder stability
Yep.
to stabilize clean weight with a slightly wider grip, I think an athlete, in my gym anyway, I'm always encouraging that as long as it looks okay, as long as their start position's okay, and they can get
Yep.
that far over the bar and hold those positions.
Yep. And I'm absolutely with you on that. And in fact, I'm going to start saying, well, Cheryl Hayworth does this, and this is what she
Oh, that's
teaches, so
right.
this is what you have to do. It's not about me, it's about Cheryl.
That's
Maybe
right.
they'll listen to me, right?
That's right. I mean, if you want to become champions,
Exactly. Exactly. All right, 60 kilos once again here, 132 pounds. Second attempt.
Chris. Uncommon barbell.
Not bad.
Jimmy Lee, get ready.
A little bit of movement in the elbow overhead there. Hold out and see what the judges say.
Just a little bit. Okay, the one judge spotted it, and again, Chad mentioned that there are judges in different positions. There's one that's straight on, and there are 2 judges to the side, and sometimes one of those judges just catches something the others don't. But that's why it's majority decision. And all joking aside, whenever the truth is that I'm constantly asking Chad for his advice about everything. Chad, what do I do when this happens? And
All right, I'm going to start taking all that credit then.
you should. So
All right.
those feet still kind of getting stuck to the platform a
Yep.
little bit. She's still sticking it though. And my philosophy there, oh no.
Okay, she
Hopefully
might be
she's
cramping.
Maybe a little cramp. And
And that-
again, 49 kilos isn't a lot. We might have some water weight
Some-
that needed to be
yep.
cut.
Cutting weight, and that would maybe explain the 2-kilo jump that she took. She may have been cramping up back there already, so they stayed conservative
Yeah.
with that jump. So we'll wait and see if she gets that worked out and can come back out. But in the meantime, we'll go to the second attempt of Brenda.
All right, we'll see if Brenda can tighten this up just a little bit.
Chase Marshburn being called out. Third attempt to
I
chase.
see a lot of movement in her bar path. You get a little more straight.
Those narrow feet once again there, the setup. Yeah. Yeah, just moving those feet I think would help solidify that so much. But again, that could be just simply something that she's forgetting to do.
Right.
But it's always so impressive to me when someone is missing something pretty big in their technique, like the lack of contact, and still being able to lift these kind of weights. It's an
Right.
expression of, even though I like to see them do something different, it's still an expression of just how strong they are.
Right. When somebody still does have so much more room to grow, but still, you know, comparably hanging in here with this pack of
Yep.
ladies who are strong, is there is something to be said about that for sure. There's a lot of potential there. And she's going to be following herself. Again, she missed that jerk, and we hesitate, especially, I mean, this is her third clean and jerk. Probably the last thing she wants to do is add more weight on the bar. So she's gonna let that wind down. She's gonna get a little bit of rest. Chad and I are gonna distract each other with all this other weightlifting that's going on around. Everywhere we turn our head, somebody's doing a clean and jerk,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Well, we can maybe explain the 2-minute clock there. So for any athlete that is following themselves, and that's not always the case, you don't have to miss it to follow yourself. But you may, jump up 2 or 3 or 4 or however many kilos, and there's just not anyone else to go. And so if you got to follow yourself, once they get the weight loaded, you're going to have a 2-minute clock. A lot of times you'll see athletes and coaches try to lengthen that out a little bit by changing weight and stuff like that. We didn't see that happen here. So here comes Brenda once again for her third and final attempt with 60 kilos.
86 kilos. Standing true.
Gotta focus on that clean.
Last snatch attempt of this session. Clock begins on standing true. Load is any 80.
Oh no. Okay, well, she's avoided and she's small too. There's plenty of room up under that barbell for a little person.
Yeah, that.
But she hung in there for as long as she could.
Yeah,
That was for
I was
sure.
gonna say, it certainly wasn't for lack of effort. She gave everything she had on that. She basically relentlessly locked the bar out. Locked the bar out at the cost of getting really, really deep, so deep that she wasn't going to be able to hang on to it. But yeah, like we talked about, we know that she's in the works, and hopefully we'll see her, go back to the gym, keep working, keep getting some reps in, make a few little changes here and there, and get back out here on the competition platform.
Right, right. All right, Tiffany, good to connect. She's missed her opening attempt here in the clean and jerk as well, but she has opted to go up.
And that is a good
So
lift.
hopefully she'll
Very
come
nice.
up and be able to make those corrections.
Great now.
Lock in the second attempt. Spending a lot of time with that bar racked.
Yeah, she basically knew that she would have been called for a press out anyway, so she kind of lets that one go, save her energy a little bit to hopefully be able to come out and get in another one. But notice that she bumped up 2 kilos from where she opened, even though she missed, and that could have been, for a number of different reasons. One could have been just to give herself more time. Another could have been to try to stick to the plan a little bit more, try to put herself in a position to get a certain number. But now she's in a do or die situation. She's gonna have to come out and make her third attempt to post a total. But in the meantime, we go back to Lisbeth.
Now, if Lisbeth makes her final clean and jerk, this is a perfect day. And again, we do jinx people sometimes,
Right.
but I'm confident. I'm inspired so much by her lifting suit. It's not going to matter.
Exactly.
She's going to crush it.
Exactly.
Oh no!
That's your fault, Cheryl.
It is entirely my fault.
Let's blame Cheryl for saying that. But I'll tell you what, that was still a great performance. 5 for 6.
What a great performance.
Can't be upset about that. I would say she needs to continue wearing that weightlifting suit. I think there's a lot of power in that gold weightlifting suit that she has. But I enjoyed watching her lift, moving really well, and I look forward to seeing her again in the future.
Tiffany, good connect. Again, third and final attempt in the clean and jerk. She still has a couple seconds on the clock. We should see her. There you go, walking out right now. Now, my advice for her would be just to relax a little bit more. She spent a tremendous amount of time with that barbell front racked, adjusting her hands, adjusting this, thinking about it, that kind of thing. She kind of just needs to get comfortable as fast as she can and go.
Yep.
I use the term comfortable loosely.
Right.
Up. Just needs to get see all that fidgeting. She's using energy. She just needs to take a deep breath and go. And she might start to get lightheaded even. Gosh,
Yeah.
never like to see people miss three snatches or 3 clean and jerks, but it happens.
Yep.
It happens. And again, these are light lifters. As a beginner, she's going to feel like she can stand there for a while. She's not really comfortable with that heavy weight racked, or as comfortable as she will eventually become.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, there are a few things that she did consistently where I could say that that's probably in her routine to do that, which is one is waiting a long time between the clean and the jerk, and another one is how she's kind of really rocking back on her heels a lot in the setup right before she kind of sinks down and locks in her start position. And
Right.
I'm not against people doing really anything with their routine and their setups and stuff like that if it's not causing them to fault. But rocking back on her heels, I think it's causing her issues in her clean a little bit, and that length of time that she's spending between the clean and the jerk, I think is contributing to her lack of success there. So those things, those little
Right.
simple things, if she can go work on those, I think will make a big difference.
This competition situation, she might be a little underfed, underhydrated because, it's going to take its toll when you're 49 kilos and you're standing there with 61 kilos.
All right, back to Emmy here, her second attempt.
That's a pretty good jerk. I mean,
Just
straight up and
it's
straight
just an
down.
easy
Yeah.
jerk. You know, that's
She uses her body. She's not pushing with her arms.
Yep.
She's pushing through the platform. She's staying. And the thing about, even though we see a lot of split jerks, obviously, because it's just technically the easiest, most efficient way to jerk. However, people who are maybe beginners or maybe not, it's really good practice to be able to dip and drive that bar straight up and down, and
Yeah.
then introduce the split to
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, I'm definitely, as a coach, I'm doing a lot more of that these days, just getting people, trying to get them better and better and better at the power jerk, because I know
Yeah,
if
me
they
too.
learn that straight down and straight up, it'll carry over into the split better, because far too many people anticipate the split too much, and it just throws them out of position. But
And they get overly concerned with their foot placement and their
yeah.
balance on their feet, when in fact the problem is typically them not dipping and driving the bar straight up and down.
All right, Desiree here.
A little forward, but I think she keeps those elbows locked.
Yeah, it looked like she stayed locked out. Let's see what the judges say. Yep, 3
Yeah,
white
there you go.
lights, and she has posted a total with that opening attempt, and we'll see her again for 2 more coming up here shortly. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of really even taking the split away from athletes that
Yeah.
have been split jerking for many, 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 many years, and it's just kind of something that I did for an experiment for a while, but it's working well enough where I can say it's no longer in the experimental phases. It's something that works well for most people.
Yeah, I agree. I very rarely, at least in my gym in this time of year, nobody is split jerking. I mean, they are all quite wet behind the ears, so to speak, new to weightlifting, so it'd be good for them anyway. But I agree 100%.
All right, back to Carla here. Her opening attempt.
So much power. She's got those elbows locked. I see a little bit of that bar pulling down back on top of her
Yeah.
as well in the clean. But
Yep.
she's so strong, it didn't even look like it took the wind out of her or anything. If clean fell on me like that, you'd
Yeah,
have to scrape me off the platform.
and really more than strong, she's fast.
Yes.
And you'll see that type of speed from these lighter body weight categories like this. And Mohini, that's going to be that